Domestically, Governor Wallace said the survival of the middle class was the most important issue, and it's obvious from remarks made this morning that most of the campaign is going to be aimed at the middle class American. Internationally, the governor said that the most important aspect of his campaign would be aimed at gaining respect for the United States, respect that it once had abroad. Clark Edwards, WSFA TV News.
Lee, we're very proud of the ball club. 10 wins and no losses regular season. That's just great considering the type of schedule we played. We lost our final game, and I know a lot of Montgomery's are disappointed, and we're very disappointed. We don't feel like we got beat. We think that time just ran out on us. We felt we could win the ball game right on up to the end. Even when the clock went off, we still felt like, well, another 30 seconds and we can win. Our kids had a great season, and we're just proud of them.
As you look back over the game, what do you think was the turning point for Jeff Davis?
Well, obviously the turnovers that we had killed us. They came at an inopportune time. We were moving the ball in each quarter, the second and the third quarters, and turned the ball over. And when we turned that ball over, it stopped our momentum and seemed to have given an awful lot of encouragement to West End. Had we scored after the second half kickoff, as we should have done, had we scored then, I think it would have taken all the sting out of West End. We'd have had then 20-7. As it was, we fumbled on about the 20-yard line going in to score, and as a result, West End moved the ball down and consumed quite a bit of the clock. We kept thinking we were going to get the ball back and win, and we did get the ball back and fumbled again. We had hoped to get it with a minute, 20 or 30 seconds left in the game, and we felt like we could win then.
19 people have received what the Dr. Baranowski describes as minor injuries. No officers have been were hurt at any point in the altercation. 18 of the 19 are white, there's one colored. This seemed to stem from a argument that spread from there, that right now everything is very quiet, that they've emptied the cell blocks and they're putting back in the cell blocks now, and everything is very quiet. The state troopers, the sheriff's office, the correctional officers from Draper, all responded right away, and I think got adequate force to take care of the situation, but hopefully that the worst is behind us.
What are the indications that set it off?
George, at this point, the only thing that we know that was just argument between two people, and it spread from that. We don't have the full details yet. Of course, we've been trying to keep the thing under control, but at this point, that's the information we have. It started out as an argument between two people, and it spread from there.
How were the individuals injured? With weapons, by hand, or well?
Most of them seem to have been, one of them received, one that I know, received some stab wounds. Others have head injuries that apparently from some weapon or object. There were several weapons taken from the cell block, but none of them, Dr. Baranowski indicated that the injuries were, in his opinion, minor in nature. Yes, for the most part, these are people who were in the quarantine area.
Four subcommittees submitted reports here today to the Democratic Party's Election Laws Reform Commission. These dealt with election procedures, corrupt practices, and voter registration. However, the report which gained the most attention was one dealing with election primaries in the state of Alabama.
Or whether they vote for the man or whether they vote for the individual delegate, it still must be done in a primary. So you can't very well move the election to September when the National Convention is going to be held in July, August. The staggered method is one approach. Another approach is to have all of the primaries for the selection of nominees and everyone other than delegates in September, and to have a special primary sometime in the spring. That was the way the subcommittee originally wrote its report. That was changed to comply with what we felt was the situation that we would be faced with this year, and make it more acceptable to all of the interested parties in the state who have a particular interest in this current year, or in the 1976 situation.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was not our best football game. People like Sonny Collins are tremendous. Of course, the best football I guess we played, Lee, would be somewhere in the Tennessee game area or the Kentucky game area. But the coming behind had to be very significant to me. And I think typical of this Auburn team, if you take the games that we played and analyze them, there's a few plays here and there that stand between Auburn and an undefeated season. And, you know, I said a lot of things this summer, but one was that if we wasn't very careful, getting a late start and then some injuries that developed, which I didn't know about at the time, we could very easily lose the first several ball games we played. But I just sum it up, Lee, I'm extremely proud of this group of people.
Oh, there's no question about that. They're good. They have been two of the top teams in the league, and we hadn't had great success with them in the last 5 years. It's a funny thing about that Alabama series. You know, if you go back through history, one team will win for about 3 or 4 years, and then the other team will win for 3 or 4 years. Well, it's our time to start that back. Yeah.
Well, I think Charles played just very, very well in all phases of the game, Phil. He led us in rebounding, he led us in assists, led us in scoring, and did the job defensively on Mitchell, as you indicated.
So quick, too.
Yeah, he played very, very well. And Part of the reason for his difference in his board work tonight was that he was guarding Mitchell. You know, Mitchell's a very strong rebounder and plays inside a lot, and Charles quite often guards people on the perimeter, but he was in a position where he had to go to the boards. And but we had a lot of folks play sound defensively. TR did, I thought, a super job on Petcavage. I thought Douglas did a fine job on their postmen, and Booney did a super job on Redding the first half. He just had 4, and even though Johnson had 13, I'll tell you, he earned every one of them, and I just hope he isn't hurt too bad, because Bob really, really needs him, and he's a fine player.
There has been a lot of laws passed which are discriminatory against people having the trait. And of course, as I said, that was the basis of our study, to see if there's any significance. So far, we've come up with no real significance of a person having the trait. A person having the trait is just as healthy, lives just as long as any other normal person.
One of the big problems is the education of what sickle cell anemia does and how it might affect the lives of people who might have it. Some insurance companies are said to be raising the rates, and some insurance companies won't insure people who have the trait or sometimes the disease. Laws have been passed in some states discriminating against people who have sickle cell. Some people have lost their jobs, and some people will not be hired if they are found to have the trait or the disease. This is Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News, Tuskegee, Alabama.
Didn't intend in the first place to ever have any peace in Vietnam. So what I'm trying to say is that I hope that you speakers will impress upon the civilian citizen that listens to you that we need today to have strength to the point that no enemy of ours or potential enemies want to do anything but talk. Now, I know you believe this. I'm not telling you anything you haven't already said. And if you don't believe it, you're probably in the wrong place. But I wanted to let you know the governor of Alabama felt that way. And I wanted to let you know as a politician that I like to feel like the majority of my people feel, although I'd feel that way if they didn't. But they feel that way. And a majority of the people of this state, and a majority of the average citizen of the United States who works each day for a living and holds the country together and makes it what it is, feels that way too. It is only that bunch of exotic left noisemakers, as I say, who feel otherwise. So I don't believe in any unilateral disarmament. And I hope the day will come when the Soviet Union and our potential in China and all the rest of any other potential ally will want to disarm and want to use those funds for other matters other than military. But until that time really comes, when we can be absolutely sure, when we can have an inspection program that is foolproof, that I do not want to gamble upon the security of the United States and the free world on what the intentions of the Soviet Union might be. Knows their intentions. And if they knew them, I think they would know that they mean
the deficits in
though that you'll be able to lick it, of course, increasing your chances.
I believe that the economic situation in 1976 will be an improving economic picture. It won't perhaps be as good as we would like it, but I believe that unemployment will be going down and employment will be going up. And we will be doing a considerable amount better in the battle against inflation than we did in the last 12 months. So with the optimism that I think will come from more employment, less unemployment, and a better battle against inflation, I think the economic circumstances will be good enough to justify at least my seeking re-election. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be in Atlanta. I've enjoyed this day and looking forward to this press conference. Mr. Cutts of...
You're supposed to do that. What options will you have then?
Our federal general revenue sharing through the...
Next year than it presently is.
Well, let's trace the history of inflation from December 1973 to December 1974. The cost of living went up 12.2%. From December 1974 to December 1975, we expect the cost of living to go up 9%. Between December of 75 to December of 1976, we expect the cost of living to go up 7%. So that's a very significant improvement, and it is not double-digit inflation. It is almost cutting in half the inflation that we had from December 73 to December 74. From the point of view of unemployment, it is true that we expect in 1975 inflation to average over, I think it's 8.45%. We do expect, however, by the second and third quarter of 1975 to have a switch that will be on the plus side. It will be a switch that will probably mean a 5% increase in the GNP. It will undoubtedly mean an increase of about 2 million in those employed. So the trend will be good with higher employment, an improvement in the gross national product, and a slight downtrend in unemployment figures. And they will get better the further we go into 1976.
Do you still look forward to welcoming Mr. Brezhnev just 3 or 4 months from